We are going to look at some disturbing videos, strange and odd news stories, and as always, let's go ahead and get right into today's video. There was a golden age back in 2023 where almost every day there was a strange and odd plane story, and I would cover them all, to the point that I was known as Minutes of Planes. But eventually I stopped talking about strange plane stories because so many strange events have been taking place around the world. But good news, the dry spell is over and we actually have a strange plane story to talk about. This took place on November 16th, where a passenger, for whatever reason, just started to attack his plane seat to the point that the other passengers had to get involved. Now, apparently there was a lot more video footage, but for whatever reason, news agencies, they only have this short video clip of him attacking the seat. But as you can see, there were photos that were released where the passengers were getting involved. But again, I can't find this extra video footage. Reading this article from Daily Mail, it says the reasons for why the man was attacking in such a manner remain unclear. Following the incident, United Airlines confirmed that the individual had been banned from taking any further flights with the carrier. The clip was recorded by Gino Galofero, who is based in San Diego, California, and works as an addiction counselor, says that he woke up to the activity and had to help restrain the man. Gino is quoted as saying, "I woke up to him kicking the seat. The flight attendant walked by a couple times. Nobody was doing anything. I restrained him and two other passengers were already getting zip ties, so we zip tied his hands and feet and seatbelted him to the seat. We were 40 minutes from LAX." But again, where's all the video footage of them doing this? I see the photos, but it would be nice to also see the video footage, because in a few of these plane stories where we see passengers being either tied down or being held down, they are screaming out, "Help, they're trying to kidnap me," or "I'm being trafficked."
This is gonna go on TikTok, so I look crazy, but I am being human trafficked. I am being human trafficked. Stop! Leave me alone! Guys! Girls! No! No! If they have your family hostage, don't believe it! They use emotional manipulation! This is not real! No! Leave me alone! I am being human trafficked! I am being human trafficked!
Only on 10 tonight.
A local 10 source says the mid-air terror unfolded on an American Airlines flight, that flight number 948, which left Rio last night on Friday, heading to South Florida early Saturday morning. In the video, you can hear the man screaming for help, saying, quote, "They're killing me." The video also shows the man being held down by a crew member and 4 passengers as that man thrashes in what appears to be an airplane galley. You can also see duct tape being used as they restrain that man. Back out here live, we also had a chance to speak to...
Now, I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this is what's taking place here, but I have covered a couple stories where people are doing just that. They are either restraining people or zip tying people, and the people they are zip tying or holding down are saying they are being trafficked or being kidnapped, and there's been no updates to those stories. We are not given the names of these people, absolutely nothing. Not even the families are speaking out, and we can't do a proper follow-up. Yes, we can do an FOIA request, but not always is the FOIA request successful. But going back to this story, that's all we know. This passenger, he just attacked his seat. These other passengers, they restrained this man, and well, that's that. I guess we have to wait for more video footage to come out in the future if it ever does. This next video comes from Matt on TikTok. These passengers on this flight here hear this very loud bang, and let's just say the pilot wasn't very reassuring.
As we're coming back to Los Angeles, we continue to have the fuel problem. But on the way below 10,000 feet or so, which is about 4 minutes before landing, our left engine decided to quit. But the right engine was great. We had a nice, eventful, nice, smooth landing. So I've been flying 35 years. This is my first engine failure.
Holy shit.
That's a very rare situation. 23,000.
Now look, make no mistake about it, if I was one of those passengers, you would just see tears, snot, and bubble guts just pouring out of me. It would just be oozing out of me. But the thing is, what a lot of passengers don't know is that if a plane even loses both of their engines, most likely the plane will still make it safely to its destination. But you don't want to hear that your plane lost its engine, and you especially don't want to hear that this is the pilot's first time flying a plane that lost its engine. He even giggled afterwards. I mean, that is absolutely crazy for a pilot to admit. All he had to say was the plane is low on fuel and we're going right back to the airport. But I believe the protocol anyway is that the pilot will never announce if there's anything going wrong with the plane, and that is so that the passengers do not panic. In this next disturbing video, this video from a TikToker named Virus Geezer, it would appear that all of London's CCTV cameras have all went down at the same time, and it looks like they might still be down.
All of the CCTV cameras across London appear to be offline. There's many websites online that allow you to view live CCTV images across London, but all of these websites seem to be showing the same thing, just a blank screen, suggesting that all of the cameras are currently offline. Now, all of the websites are claiming at the moment that there has been a security breach, although there's no mention of this on any mainstream media source. We have all seen in recent days and weeks that mainstream media have been reminding us that we are likely to experience a wave of Russian cyber attacks. Is it the Russian government trying to cause us problems with our CCTV? Or is it our own government, the UK government, the Labour government, up to some... Or maybe it's just an amateur hacker testing his skills. Either way, I'm sure we'll start getting more information in the coming hours and days, and no doubt I believe Russia are going to get the blame. Putin's going to get the blame. Of course it's going to be Russia. Even though it could be very well our own government, for fuck's sake.
Have you noticed something strange? Every single live stream camera in London has been offline since last night. No official explanation. No maintenance alerts. Just offline. The city that never really sleeps with its millions of watchful eyes is suddenly blind. Tower Bridge, black. Piccadilly Circus, nothing. The streets of Westminster, silent. Some are calling it a technical glitch. Others aren't so sure. Could it be a cyber attack, a government cover-up, or something else entirely? Something they don't want us to see. Think about it. In a city as surveilled as London, shutting down all the cameras at once isn't just unusual, it's deliberate. So the question is, why? And what aren't they telling us? Stay sharp, London. Something doesn't feel right.
What is going on in London indeed? Could this be some kind of false flag to ignite a bigger conflict? Or somebody left an even more interesting comment, maybe something was being transported and they did not want the people to see or record. What also happens to be very interesting, as of today, news has come out that unidentified drones were seen over 3 British air bases used by United States forces.
From our security and defence editor, Deborah Haynes, we brought you a story a couple of weeks last week about drones being spotted over air bases. Well, a number of unidentified drones have again been spotted over 3 air bases in Britain that are used by the United States Air Force. US military units are monitoring the airspace over RAF Lakenheath, RAF Mildenhall in Suffolk, and RAF Feltwell in Norfolk after the drones were sighted overnight. The UK authorities are working to ensure the safety of the sites. A quote from the US Air Forces in Europe, they say, "I can confirm the situation's ongoing. Our units continue to monitor the airspace and are working with host nation authorities and mission partners to ensure the safety of base personnel, facilities and assets. To safeguard operational security, we do not discuss specific force protection measures. but we retain the right to protect our installations. Now, as I was saying, this comes after unidentified drones were previously spotted between Wednesday and Friday last week over the same 3 air bases, which is highly unusual. The US Air Force said at the time it was unclear whether the drones were considered hostile. We've approached the RAF for comment, but haven't got any comment from them as yet. So it appears that more unidentified drones have been spotted over 3 air bases that are used by the United States within the UK. And bringing more on that from Deborah as we get it.
This next video comes from Moon Henry on TikTok, and it appears that something is going on with birds where they just don't want to fly and they're not acting themselves. More and more people are noticing this.
So y'all know how I've been showing you very strange skies lately, all over the world? Well, now something weird is going on with the birds. Literally just perched on random things, not moving. And you know, birds, if you don't know, they spend a lot of time in the sky. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Maybe a little bit. Believe it or not, this right here has been happening a ton lately. Look at all those birds. So yeah, I have no idea. I guess maybe we'll just never know, huh? Just me.
But this is an easy one to figure out because they, and when I say they, I'm talking about the powers that be, are just messing with the skies nonstop, all these chemtrails and so forth. So of course the birds are not going to act like themselves. Like that story I covered not so long ago where the fish in the waters were acting very bizarre. They were spinning and doing other things that fish do not normally do. The fish, they were losing their direction, they were getting lost and so forth. But now it appears the birds just don't want to be in the sky. Now yes, birds still fly in the sky, of course, but again, more and more people are noticing that birds are staying grounded. That is very, very eerie to see. But you know what? Who can really blame them for not wanting to be in the sky, especially with things like this going on? And this next video comes from the Crafty Gal on TikTok.
Zoom in. Everyone else is so oblivious they don't even see it. Come on. Truman Show. That guy was looking, you see him? It was like something cut through it.
Now, I personally have never seen anything like this before, and according to the comment section of this video, a lot of other people have never seen anything like this before either. Some are even saying this is proof that we live in a simulation. But there are people trying to give a more rational explanation. Some people are saying that this is something called a horizontal vortex, and there are some people that are saying that this could be some kind of water spout. But talking about strange things in the sky, this strange black flying thing was seen over the skies of Anchorage, Alaska, but what's also rather interesting, and which I'll also show in this segment, this same flying thing was also seen in Mexico as well.
Surgió entonces la duda de si aquellos casos tenían relación con la imagen grabada recientemente por Jerónimo y sus compañeros del OVNI Club. Aunque tras analizar mejor los movimientos de la curiosa imagen, llegaron a una nueva y sofisticada teoría.
De manera personal, yo me inclino.
Concluyó que cuando no se puede probar la naturaleza de un objeto, la gente suele ponerle rostro y nombre según sus experiencias previas, lo que podría haber ocurrido en este caso. ¿Qué es eso que parece seguir rondando los cielos de Monterrey?
Como lo dije una vez en el
místico relato, parecen poder descifrar la incógnita, por lo que la respuesta a este misterio seguirá literalmente en el aire.
This next video from Dolores Cannon Official on TikTok is very, very interesting to me. Now, she's going to talk about how CERN was actually working on developing wormholes and not black holes. And why I find this to be rather interesting happens to be because a few months ago, I actually made a video on this where I had shown the actual blueprints from CERN where they were doing just that, where they were actually working on wormholes and not black holes. Now, some people do not believe that wormholes exist. Some people even believe that CERN does not have the capabilities to open up wormholes. And that's fine. Everybody can have their own beliefs. They can have their own theories. And this channel is a theory channel. But I strongly believe that CERN, what's going on at CERN, well, they are not telling us the exact truth. And they are crossing entities, they are crossing beings over here at CERN.
Said they were working with dark matter, which I think you can think sounds like antimatter. The scientists, they said, were working with dark matter and doing things they weren't supposed to be doing with it. And I said, what were they doing? They said they were trying to create their own universes, their own wormholes. Now, what does that sound like? Those of you who know, you know what's going on right now, don't you? The collider experiments. If you look it up on the internet, you'll see it. It was going on this last year. These scientists were trying to create a wormhole, trying to create a new universe. And they have built this huge machine. They said it is the most powerful machine in the history of the world to shoot atoms and things at each other. And the explosion, they said, they're hoping, create a new universe and create a wormhole. And this is why they're always saying, we want you to know these things because you're repeating the same mistakes now. Well, these scientists that are doing the collider experiment are working with antimatter. And this is what they said they did in Atlantis. They were working with dark matter. And when they were doing it, it got away from them. And it began to destroy the grids of the earth. So they said we had to step in and destroy it and stop it. Because if it would have continued, the entire earth would have collapsed. All the grids collapsed, and it would have had an escalating effect, and the grids of the entire solar system, the grids of the whole universe would eventually all collapsed on itself. This is what they keep saying they're afraid of. So they said we had to step in and destroy the population at that time. And I'd never heard that explanation before. They said they were working.
This next disturbing video comes from aha_ba on TikTok, and she gives a rather interesting look, a rather interesting view at the Titanic submersible story that happened last year. The submersible that went underwater to explore the Titanic, and well, it exploded. Everyone on board the submersible lost their lives instantly. But there were a lot of holes in that story, a lot of back and forth, such as for an entire week, we thought that they may have still been alive, that they were stuck underwater. But the Navy knew days before it was announced that it had exploded, they heard the actual explosion and they told nobody. News and media were also letting the public know about all these strange sounds in the area, like when the rescuers heard or consistently heard all this very bizarre knocking. With so many holes and oddities to this story, it really makes you wonder, were they really there to look at the Titanic? And did this submersible really explode the way that they told us it exploded?
Now that the government has come forward and done the UFO hearing and basically said that there are these UFO alien bases underwater. And so now that the government has come forward and done the UFO hearing and basically said that there are these UFO alien bases underwater and these UAPs that are following submarines, can we finally admit that these people were looking for that? Because no way they wanted us to believe that these people, these billionaires, were just going to the bottom of the ocean to look at some wreckage from a 100-year-old vessel. This was quite literally the craziest story of, I think, all of last year, and I still don't believe what they are trying to sell us. Anything about what happened with Stockton Rush, then you know that the whole operation was a scandal, down to the people who paid $25,000 a ticket to the billionaires who were on board for some mysterious reason. Now the government wants to come out and tell us that aliens are on the ocean floor and that they are trying to reverse engineer the technology that they have. Not only that, but do you guys not vividly remember them telling us they had remains of these people from the Titan submersible? Literally in 2023 of October, they told us they had these photos of these human remains from the Titan sub. If it imploded, then it was supposed to be liquefied. There would be no human remains. Let's not forget how silent the wives were. Like, literally, they didn't say anything. That's in the bottom of the ocean. They were looking for something, and it wasn't 112-year-old ship wreckage. We live in a society where they are literally trying to cover up the fact that there are these giant UFO bases in the water. You think no one has tried to go look for them? This could explain why they spent all these millions of dollars to get down there. So now that the government has come.
Now, I really don't know if they were there to look and search for UFOs, but the story itself really did not add up, especially given the fact that we had the family members remain silent, but the Navy, they heard something explode in the area and they withheld that information. And then days later, like I said, news and media came out and they were like, yes, the vessel had exploded. What is also rather interesting, that was one of the theories back in 2023, that this vessel either went into some kind of portal into another dimension, or it did encounter some kind of underwater UFO. So that was a theory that was discussed a year before the government saying that there are aliens, UFOs under the water.